Hi, okay. Because we have, coral. Please acting on it. Let me see here. Hello, hello. How crazy is this at the moment? Let's see. How how did we do? Um yeah, everything is technology is great when it works. And yeah, I when you update computer things and all of that, it is always a little bit wild, and that's, of course, what happened today. Hearing it's a little bit better. Um, wow. Well, this is why we do timestamps so that when all of this happens, um, better but still choppy. I don't this is where having a team would be so helpful because then I could just send out a new link to everybody if I don't know what to do. Okay. Streaming is so dynamic. I'm at a loss, guys. I am at a loss for what to do. Let me try running one thing. Let me just try. Let me try. I'm gonna run Snark Tank and see how that works. And you know, this is just how we roll when when we're live. This is what live looks like. And I might just need to send a new link. I don't know. I don't know, guys. That sounded better on my end. Did that sound any better on your end? Haha, this is just kind of insane. Okay. For the video and audio being out of sync, that one I will say, okay, we have reached the point where on my end, it is actually looking better, which means that if it's still choppy, then and if things are out of sync, go ahead and reboot your YouTube because that should fix it. seems like we're just are there solar flares happening too? Because that's the sort of thing that I expect with solar flares. While we're getting everything ready, while we're doing everything, you know what, guys? I'm gonna see if I can find my notes again, and I'm gonna run the intro, and let me know where you're coming in from and what you're sipping on, and, if you've hung out with me this long, don't worry, I will timestamp this hopefully in the next couple of days so you can just skip technical difficulties because that's never fun. Um, and we will see how that goes. I am gonna go ahead and roll the intro while we're all doing the reboot things. We're gonna hope if it's still not great, you know what? I'll just reschedule everything for tomorrow. Okay? And we'll do this tomorrow. So let me go ahead and roll the intro. Let's see what we're looking at here. And I don't know how to fix this. I've rebooted the entire computer. I've done everything I can. I'm not on any other streaming platforms, so I don't really know. I don't really know. I'm gonna see if I can pull up my notes. I'm gonna run the intro. I'm gonna hope that things get itself sorted out a little bit, and if it doesn't in the next few minutes, we'll just cancel this entire thing and pick it up another day or something. I don't know. I'm gonna roll the intro, guys. Streaming is something, and some days it just doesn't work. So let's see what we can do. Hopefully, we'll have a show. If we don't, we don't. That's just how it goes. Hello and welcome to The Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about politics, pop culture, and courts, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. All right, I'm getting that it is better in some places, not better in other places. I don't know how to make it better in other places. It is much better on my end, which would mean that there may be YouTube issues happening. I don't know. I can take a minute and go check and see if things are working on my phone. I don't know. But you know what? We ran the intro. We're just gonna, you know what? Collect it. Goat. We need the goat. We need the goat. We needed the goat. Because sometimes technology, okay, I am getting the info that things are getting better. So the reboots helped. I learned something new. I learned that when this happens, I can actually restart the entire computer while I'm live and come back in. Heavens, tub. But you know what? You know what I need to do next, though, is come up with a technical difficulties thing so that I can work on it. We will do that. We will get that taken care of. And I guess that's next on my list. My amazing friend and sometimes co-host Miss Mandy. When you listen to this, guess what I'm going to ask you to help me with next? Because she's been the one helping me with my thumbnails, and I love the stuff she's been doing. And bonus, it gives me a chance to talk with my bestie a little bit every now and then. We Although today, truly, we called each other and body doubled for each other for an hour while we fought with technology a few hours ago. So that just seems to be the theme of the day. So now that we are all back, we are all hanging out again. I'm going to timestamp everything so that you can skip all that craziness. Come on in, and we can just hang out. So with all of that, I'm going to swoop so that I know where to timestamp. And wow, find your swoop, Aurora. There we go. I'm going to swoop. We're going to come back. When we come back from the swoop, we will just get right into it. getting right into it. Okay. So, was it the beginning of this week? I can't tell anymore because weeks are a day is like a million years long if you're paying attention to the news. It's insane. So, I think it was the beginning of this week that Trump just like disappeared off of all of the socials for 48 hours or whatever, which if we were in normal times would be yay, we're back to normal. I'm hearing we're back to normal. If we were in normal times, right? The president not tweeting, not truthing or whatever they call it, not yelling at the media, wouldn't be weird, right? If we were in normal times, a president taking 2 days to do whatever, maybe even work, um, we wouldn't we wouldn't think anything of it. But because Trump is in front of cameras and online so chronically, so chronic, he's always in your face. So because he's always in your face, when he's suddenly not, we notice. We notice. And what does the internet do? The internet asks the question that they always jump to when somebody over the age of, I don't know, 40 disappears for a couple of years, couple of days. It felt like a couple years because news cycle, couple of days. They go, is he still alive? Is he dead yet? Now, I mean, plenty of people have dealt with, wasn't Cher supposedly dead a while back? Betty White spent, I mean, anytime Betty White was trending on Twitter right up until the day she was actually gone, everybody was like, "Is she okay? Somebody check on Betty White." Um, so with Trump, it's pretty obvious that, of course, and half the internet is going, "Do we get to play Ding Dong the Witch is Dead?" And half the internet is super concerned that their precious wannabe dictator has disappeared. So, and then Trump learned about the whole "is he dead" rumors in real time at a press conference. I would pull that up, but I would like to keep some of my brain cells and let me paraphrase how that went down. President Trump, can you address the rumors that you were dead? Also, there was like big black garbage bags being thrown out of the White House, being thrown out of a White House window. And Trump blamed AI and then said when something really bad happens, blame AI, and then said, but it was AI and a Democrat hoax. And that's making more sense of the words he strung together than was there. That's me trying to translate some sense into whatever the words were that came out of that man's face. So we had that for a couple days, and then he reappeared, and we were all like, oh, he's back. Great. I mean, my own personal take on that is, okay. I mean, at least we don't have to deal with that yet. And then the theme of the week just went from that to, okay, that made it real for everybody. That 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 made it real that he is the oldest president we've ever had. And he was old when he started this whole venture in 2016. And now he's much older. Now, I would argue that he is completely in the throes of some form of dementia. I know we talked about this with Biden when Biden was coming into office as well. I said then that I wasn't as concerned about Biden and the most likely form of dementia that he might have had, because if we were talking something like Alzheimer's, Biden had been working in the government for so long that even if we weren't fully present, he would still be able to do the job. Trump is not that way. Trump couldn't run a business when he had a business. So there was that. I direct you to the man bankrupted a casino, which is what we all go to. If he's such a great businessman, it takes the amount of effort it takes to bankrupt a casino is truly breathtaking. So I guess there's that. Um, but so with everything, right? Like, what is going to happen when he does go? Because in theory, the man is still mortal, and in theory, time, nature, karma, something's coming for him. Now, could he be the first one where his brain ends up in some sort of magical mixture and he can continue to do the weird dictatory things for another 20, 30 years? Maybe. I don't even know. I don't even know. But in theory, he is like a normal human. And at some point, time will catch up with you. And it seems as though we are nearing that point. His sudden obsession with getting into heaven. Sir, please don't even try. Just prepare to make yourself comfy in whatever layer of not paradise you're gonna wind up in. Um, but there's that. So, but what happens when he goes, right? Because let's say he goes while he is in the middle of this term. Then the mantle goes to JD Vance. I am one of the few amongst my friends who is not particularly concerned about JD Vance in specific. I'm not actually that concerned about a lot of the actual the people in the titled positions in the cabinet and etc. Here's why. The people who wrote Project 2025, with the exception of a few, aren't in major positions of power. They are running things, they are getting people to do things. Don't get me wrong, I am not underestimating them. But if the mantle goes to JD Vance, here's one of the reasons why I'm not worried. In order to be a dictator, you have to have a certain level of charisma. And as much as I dislike Trump, as much as I dislike Trump's policies, his attitude, pretty much everything I know about him as a human being, he rolled a natural 20 on charisma, even when he is unable to string a set of words together, even when he's unable to speak a coherent sentence. People will watch him. We will watch him. Even if we disagree with him, we will watch him. And because of that, it makes it very easy for him to do dictator shit, because you have to have that charisma to be a dictator. And Trump just threw a big old meltdown because he wasn't invited to the dictator party recently, which was a weird meltdown to have, but sure. Um, but even there, like, he's got it. He's got that charisma. JD Vance doesn't. He just doesn't. People who are very into MAGA and a lot of the whole Project 2025 stuff, things like that, they're not gonna follow JD Vance. And whether we want to admit it or not, Stephen Miller is the guy behind the curtain. Like, Trump is the big wizard mask. He's out there saying the things and getting credit and getting blame, but the amongst the top folks who are really pulling all the puppet strings is Stephen Miller. And his ick factor is so high, even he's at least self-aware enough to recognize that he needs to be in the background in order for him to get his agenda out. Hegseth is maybe the closest to Trump of having the charisma, and his job position doesn't enable him to come in and take on that dictator mantle. And honestly, I think he would just be bad at it. So, are we still going to be left with MAGA when Trump goes? Yes. But MAGA isn't a majority of the population. So the first thing we have to keep in mind is that MAGA's at best about 30, low 30% of the population. And they only maintain those numbers with Fox News, Newsmax, various right wing media spewing propaganda out. If we are able to claw back some ability to get on the same page as far as what a fact is again, and that facts and opinions are not the same thing, then we have a hope of taking that 30% and dropping it even further. And you can see that in what is happening with the New York mayoral race. You can see that in what is happening in some of the battleground senatorial races. Here in Maine, Graham Plattner, what's he doing? He is not only doing the Fight Oligarchy tour with Bernie, but he's going out there from what I can see and holding town halls and talking to people and encouraging people from the right to talk to him. Mamdani actively targeted Trump areas of New York to go talk to them. And he's talking to them, he's listening to them. And I think that we have forgotten, we've lost the thread that there's a massive group that were either going in 2016, 2015, 2016, they were either going to vote for Bernie to fix stuff or Trump to break it. Now, some of them have been indoctrinated into MAGA, some of them have not. But they stand by their choice to either fix it or break it. I think we all knew Hillary wasn't going to try and fix much of anything. And so in the immediate, when Trump goes, if it's during this term, we have to deal with J.D. Vance. Under normal circumstances, I would try and steer clear of mockery, but mockery seems to actually work and get their attention and get them paying attention and get MAGA paying attention as well. So here's the deal. When you look at J.D. Vance, I want you to picture in your mind that donkey boy from Pinocchio, the original, like the original cartoon, Disney cartoon. When Pinocchio is becoming a real boy and all of that, and he ends up on that terrible island. It has been decades since I've seen this. But JD Vance is that little bully. He's not Trump is the ringleader. Trump is the ringleader bully. They are a different breed. They act different. JD Vance is a follower. He's not a leader. He's a follower. So he's not going to be able to take on that dictator thing, and he's not going to be able to continue that Project 2025 thing because you can back JD Vance into a corner with questions. You just can. And that's yes. Yeah. Yeah. He is. He is, though. So keep that in your mind. Anytime he speaks, just in your mind, if you have a mind's eye, if you don't, just have a little picture so that you can hold it up. Just picture those ears coming out of JD Vance's head. It's not a big stretch. He even looks kind of like the kid. I mean, maybe my memory is bad, but still. Um, and yeah, so I'm gonna stick with my mockery there because it's accurate. And JD Vance is just way too happy to be among the real boys and to be among the big players right now. He is malleable, but he can't hold the crowds, he can't hold the attention. He's it bordering on the whole Jeb Bush please clap kind of level when he's out there. So it makes it much easier to fight back on that. And Stephen Miller tries every now and then because I think he sees the writing on the wall. But his weird ick factor is just a little too high and everybody's BS meter goes off. Um, so he's not able to really further that. Um, Mike Johnson. Chat, let me know what you think. I think Mike Johnson has the ability to have that charisma. He would be maybe the one that I would be most afraid of in that place because he's got the ideology and he, to a certain extent, has the charisma, but I don't think he has it the way we need it, the way they would need it to keep up what is happening. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think there is going to be such a massive power vacuum, and there are too many egos in that far right Project 2025 group. Remember back when Trump first started filling his cabinet, and I said it was like he was just throwing rakes out on the lawn, and at some point, something was going to happen, and everybody was just going to walk out and just step on the rakes and hit themselves in the face. I honestly think that the power vacuum when Trump leaves is going to lead to that, an SNL level ridiculous fight of person A punched person B, but person C thought it was person A, and one of those where everybody's attacking the wrong person because things just got missed. I personally think that's where we're going. I know a lot of folks are very nervous. I have fielded a lot of my friends being super, super scared of what's going to happen when that power vacuum hits. So I don't know. Am I being too sunshine, rainbow, glitter kitty here? Or do we think there is a chance that maybe, just maybe, the timeline could right itself? And jumping back in time a little bit, Dad says town halls are very instructive, especially those by GOP officials in MAGA heavy areas, because people are getting involved. It's one of the things that has happened in this is we've gotten really, really complacent because let's be real, Obama, Biden, they kept it boring for us. And we appreciate that, but we also stopped paying attention, and Trump just makes us pay way too much attention. Um, Dad says, "Nah, Johnson can't maintain his more charismatic facade for more than a few minutes at a time." So that's kind of where I'm at, is that you need to have, in order for this to continue, right? In order for this Project 2025 fascist dictator coup take over whatever we are at, in order for that to continue, Trump either needs to stay alive for a whole lot longer or somebody else needs to come into that power vacuum when that happens. And I just don't see anybody in his sphere that can step into that power vacuum. I'm not seeing it. I just, I, maybe it's just that I don't want to see it. I don't know, chat. You let me know what you think, because yeah, mom says I've just found Johnson a bit hard to read other than being trustworthy, which means that means that level of distrust is probably there amongst a lot of folks. So, what are we looking at? I guess this is the start of a longer conversation, I think. I think we need to start thinking about it. I think we need to pay attention because I don't think it's that far away. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I'm not really sure. Um, but there's a lot of, how to put this? It feels very much like they've built a very impressive house of cards. And I just wonder when the right wind is going to come by to cause it all to go crashing down. Because it is the whole MAGA thing is honestly, the whole MAGA ideology and everything, it's very similar to a cult. It is. It's just very similar to a cult. And how do you combat that? How do you help people who have been MAGA undo that? Truly, it's curiosity, asking questions, and having compassion, even when that's really hard. I'm not having compassion, having kindness doesn't mean that you have to be nice, if that makes sense. Um, and Leah coming in, I think the cult will have a power vacuum, but the people behind Project 2025 will not. That that is true. But in order for project so that leads me to my next question with all of this, because Project 2025 is there, they are in place. Have they gotten all of their foundation blocks in though? Have they set up what they need to set up in order to keep everything going? Um, Dad says paranoid view is Trump lasts long enough that one of the cities he's occupying with troops erupts and martial law is declared. I mean, that's definitely the end goal here. They are trying so hard to get somebody to fight back. Fight back with words, fight back with satire, fight back with mockery, fight back with snark. Um, make them throw the first punch is what I would have to say, because they are trying so hard for somebody to reach the end of their rope. And we can be defensive and we can hold our ground and we can be firm and we can be kind, but not nice necessarily. We can break our own rules. We can call them weird. We can ask, but you can also be curious and ask some questions, because I honestly believe that most of that 30% still ultimately want what most of the rest of us want. That's my own personal belief. And so, with that, I believe that asking questions can help. Will it work the same way every time? No. Will you get very far most of the time? No. Most of the time, they'll get super mad, tell you you're wrong, tell you to do your own research, and then walk away. And you're sitting there going, I've got all the research here. I can cite it for you if you want. Um, Mom says I would say it has to be someone who gets the reaction of who is that guy, whether they be attracted to him or being repelled. Yeah. We laughed Trump right into office the first time, and we underestimated him the second. And that's how we got here. But we laughed Trump into office the first time. We didn't think he'd get very far. And look at where he is now. So I don't know. Will it be somebody in his sphere? Will it be somebody completely different? And Dad says, fight back with banging pots and pans every night at 8 p.m. I'm kind of here for that. I'm kind of here for that. I also, I love cats on a couch. I love that. And will always direct you to the crew of Petty Besties. The other thing in the theme for this week that has come up, and it's one of those when the Venn diagram of a certain group of people all says the same thing and that diagram becomes a circle, I pay attention, because these are not always people that agree and they are not always people that say the same thing. And this week they all kind of said it in the same way too, which was odd. But there were a bunch of different creators and other folks in my world that all said the same thing. Community. Find community. Because when we find our communities, we see our numbers, right? That's why I do what I do here because I'm searching for that community. We are that community. So if we stay together, and I'm in other communities too that do the same thing. So if we are together, if we are have found our community, what it means is that when whoever tries to step into that vacuum tries to separate that community, you already have a month, a week, a year building that community together with each other, right? So it's much harder to break up that community than they think. And the reason they try to do it is because honestly, they don't understand it. It's that hurt people thing. They don't get it. Trump operates in a world where cruelty is the only currency. And he respects people who are cruel. He respects people who have no empathy. It's why he fanboyed over Elon Musk. It's why he's just positively giddy anytime he is in the presence of Putin or Kim Jong, the North Korean leader. I can never remember Kim Jong Un, or is that the older one? I don't remember. I should, but I don't. So I will get that wrong every time. It's not that I don't wanna know, it's that there is a limited amount of information that goes into my head, and song lyrics kicks out multiple things that should stay in my brain, and instead, we need to still know all the words to Hang Tough from 30 years ago. Um, but community. Find your communities, and I say communities because there are multiple. There are many. You will have some overlap. You will have some differences, but community is key. And when it's Josh Johnson and Phil DeFranco, and I think it was somebody at work and somebody else that I encountered recently, and they all said the same thing. You have to find your community. You have to find the community. We have to stick together. So that's why we gather here on Sundays. That's why we gather here to chit chat on Sundays and talk about these things. And I had a whole lot of notes pulled up, and I just pulled up my soapbox, got up here, and ran. So, um, and dad says if we got Trump, because lots of us think the system isn't working, building a different system by building community is the best way forward. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think we're looking at saving our system right now. I think we're looking at what of the foundation is left for rebuilding. And do we need to redo our foundation? I don't know. We might. We might. Our Constitution is truly spectacular, but we can still improve on it. And I worry, yep, AOC said it on Trump's second win. It's we find ourselves in a very weird time. I happen to be I've said this before. I'm a pathological optimist. Movie quote. That is a movie quote. But I am a pathological optimist, and I do think I am seeing the signs, I think, for that power vacuum to actually turn into a MAGA black hole. That was probably a terrible metaphor. But I just there's too many egos in the room. There's too many egos in the room. And I mean, let's be real. Cishet white men aren't the best at coming up with long-term solutions to things. Um So there's that. They do very well in the short term, and, I'm gonna stop there because then I'll anger half of the internet, but, that's for a different time. That's for members only when we reach that point. Um, but yeah, the duopoly system, you're right, is not in the Constitution, and that most needs fixing. And I think, again, 2016, if we were not so focused on just the Democrats and the Republicans, 2016 would have been very different because you had a whole lot of people, such as myself. I didn't want to vote for Hillary. I really didn't. I didn't like her general policies. I didn't like her overall political career. I didn't much love her husband. Um, I mean, yeah, he did some good things for the economy, but I have questions as to whose expense some of those things came at. And anyway, that's a whole nother show. But I held my nose and I voted for her anyway. I feel like if they had I feel like if both Democrats and Republicans at the time had picked up that the game was changing, everything was gonna be different, we might have had a different outcome. I don't know. I think we're gonna get to see what it's like. The pendulum is already starting to shift the other way. Things are happening. This is just the start of the overall conversation. And, we are actively finding our community. Welcome. Welcome. If you are here, you want to continue to be a part of this community, um, do all of the liking, subscribing, that kind of thing. The Aurora H. White is how I show up on the social medias. I'm over on Instagram. That is where you get probably the most up to date information, and threads as well. I'm there. That's where my socials are the most hopping. And I don't know. I'm starting to feel like with this fire hose of news, we might need to do more than a once a week gathering. I'm not really sure. I do have a day job and I also hate certain areas of technology. I don't know. What do you think? Because here's the thing. Here's where I was going to start tonight before tech just completely sidetracked me. Let me swoop. Before tech totally sidetracked me, I wanted to start with fun things like what did you do the last couple weeks and things like that. And the show I wanted originally to do tonight, obviously I changed up because that power vacuum conversation is one we absolutely needed to start having. And I also needed to, just for my own sake, get the JD Vance as the donkey boy from Pinocchio out there because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I just needed to share that with you, my friends. Um, but one of the conversations I wanted to have, because in theory, this channel talks politics, pop culture, and courts, because I like all of those things and I always get up on a soapbox about all those things. I wanted to talk about the Cardi B trial, which was a whole thing. I will find the Josh Johnson show where he discusses it because that is 10 out of 10 the best TLDR you will find of the Cardi B trial. I cannot improve on that. I have no extra thoughts. I will find it. I will put it in the description of this maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, but soon. Um, but I part of what came out of that trial, and it is a conversation that I want to have. So let me know if you want to have this conversation on a Sunday or if we want to have a bonus show sometime during the week. I'm willing to start looking at that because I do kind of want to have this conversation about politics, pop culture, and courts via the Cardi B trial. And I just saw the documentary Stands, and I want to talk about celebrity. I want to talk about what celebrities owe us or don't, because we have a very weird culture, and does this tie into Trump? It does. It does all tie together, I promise, at least in my head. How? So we have this in this particular country, in the US, we have this love of celebrity that is just kind of insane, in my own personal opinion. We don't have lords and ladies. We don't have an aristocracy in this country, at least not entitled and titles and land and that sort of thing. Um, but what we do have is celebrity, right? So everybody and their brother, whether they cared or didn't, knows about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey getting together, getting engaged, whatever. I've seen the Instagram post. I follow neither of them. I do not care about football. I am not at all a Swiftie. That is a whole different conversation. I'm not angering the Swifties on the internet today. I don't dislike her. It's just not my jam. But I'm aware of that, right? But did they owe us those engagement pictures? Did they owe it to us to call TMZ and get them on board and do it? And with the Cardi B trial, spoiler alert, it was a cash grab that fell flat on its face as it should. It was sort of like the Gwyneth Paltrow trial, which I did watch all of. So I want to have that discussion. And let me know if you want to have it too. Dad is saying bonus show. So maybe I'll take a look at my calendar. I do have some days off coming up. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you want the bonus show. If you do want the bonus show, let me know what day you want me to do the bonus show. I am going to work within my schedule, but we will see. Because you know what? Honestly, guys, I wanna meet more than once a week. I do. I wanna see y'all in chat more than once a week as well. I don't know if I have the bandwidth. We're gonna find out. We're just gonna find out. So with that, I'm gonna swoop one more time. Um, and then I'm gonna say goodnight, everybody. I am gonna apologize again for the craziness on the front end of everything, all the tech stuff. But I want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to thank everybody on Replay Crew. You're amazing. You think I don't see you? I do. I see those numbers. I see your faces. I mean, I don't see your faces, but I see the love. Uh Although I will say, I see the love. I know you're there. Do me a favor, because the algorithm doesn't care that I see it. The algorithm only cares that, you've done the things and you've clicked on the like and you've clicked on the subscribe, and, whether or not you hit the notification bell, that's up to you. If you wanna know when I go live, especially if we're gonna start doing any sort of bonus shows at any point in time, I think we need to. The news cycle is just too much to do it once a week. Um, then do hit that notification bell and follow me over on Threads, Insta, and that's where you'll see I'll always post it up on my story, and sometimes you'll even get a bonus video over there. And oh, fun things, if you're over on my Insta, you also get to see all of the pet pics. So you get to see the floofs over there. That's where they shine. Um I had another thought. I don't know. We will see. Anyway, do all the things for the algorithm. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. You guys are amazing. I love gathering every Sunday. Um, Thank you so much for being the community that I want to be a part of. And community is key. And we're going to keep doing this. This is an ongoing conversation. This is part one of I don't know how many. Trump's getting weirder and weirder, so who knows? And as I texted a friend the other day, I want to talk about this, but there's still like 24 hours for the news cycle to fuck up my plans. So, in this particular administration, and I do wanna say, for anybody coming across me early that you're like, "Oh, wow, crazy lefty." Yeah, but here's the thing. It's just not about politics for me anymore. Like, politics is there, but that's not the main thing. At this point, I like democracy. I like people. I like my friends and neighbors, and I have too much empathy, too much compassion, and a way too naive a worldview to just give up and let them roll over me. So I'm not gonna do it. So I'm here. We have so much other things to talk about. We won't do that tonight. We've been here for about an hour. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. I appreciate you entirely. And thanks for hanging with me through all of the crazy. As always, be well, do good, get into good trouble, just like cats on a couch. And remember to bark a lot. Go out there, get barking. I will see you on the next one. Thanks. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.